Hello everybody. Today we're going to cook noodles in 1 minute, in 1 hour, and in 1 day. Our minute has started. During this time, you can manage, except that, to brew ready-made noodles. Open it up and add some spices. Pour in some boiling water. And after waiting a little bit, we have some ready noodles. Let's try it. These noodles don't taste delicious at all. Now we will cook noodles in 1 hour. We need some chicken eggs. We break off 5 pieces. Pour 200 grams of flour onto the table, and we catch only the yolks with our hands. Then we're gonna make a little funnel in the flour and fill it with our yolks. Here's a little bit of olive oil, salt, and we begin to knead, first with a fork, and then with our hands. The egg dough is ready. Wrap it in film and let it rest for 15 minutes. Then sprinkle some flour onto the table. We take out the rested dough and roll it out with a rolling pin. Once we have a large layer of dough, we begin to fold it. And cut it into strips. Now we just need to straighten out the noodles and just tossing with our fingers. And throw that on to cook. This is not dry pasta, so they cook way faster. Literally 2 minutes can be drained through a colander. Cut off the pulp from a red pepper. And cut it into small strips. Next, we have the carrot. We plate it out so we have such small layers. And then into small strips. Last up, we have chicken thighs. Cut them into pieces. Pour some oil into a frying pan. And we'll fry up our chicken first. With a little layer, we add our vegetables. Let's fry them for just a couple of minutes. And all right, next, we'll make a ketchup-based sauce. Use some hot sauce sriracha, teriyaki sauce, chili pepper, ground black pepper, and red. It remains to mix it well, and the sauce is ready. We send this into our wok. And now we add the egg noodles and mix it for the last time. Now let's remove it from the stove and transfer it into a bowl. And just like that, our 1 hour noodles are ready. Now we just need to dry them. Yeah, these noodles are 10 times tastier than the last ones. They're like sweet, sour, and spicy. Well, let's move on to the noodles that are going to take us a whole day to prepare. Especially for this, we prepared a parcel with Chinese products with a lot of interesting things inside of it. We open it up, and the first thing that we see are these black beans. We're going to make a special paste out of them. We open them and pour them into a bowl. Fill this with water and leave this in the form to soak for as long as 8 hours. The next thing from our Chinese box is sesame oil. We will fry everything on this, and it has an unusual flavor. Let's grate some ginger directly into the pan. Add a small hot pepper. Drain the remaining water from the black beans. And throw them into the frying pan as well. First, fry them a little bit. And then fill it with water. This also includes soy sauce, sugar, and vinegar. Cook the beans until they finally become soft. Then pour the contents of the frying pan into a blender. Grind it all into a paste. Done. Now pour the bean paste into a bowl. The next lot is this Chinese kansui powder. This is an alkali for the dough, which makes it very viscous. We open it and pour 30 grams into a bottle. Pour 70 milliliters of cold water in. We close the bottle and shake it so that it dissolves into the powder and water. We will also need Chinese flour with a high gluten content. We send 1 kilogram to the bowl. Pour half a liter of cold water in, and here we add half of our mixture with kansui powder, 20 grams of salt, and put this under the mixer. We're going to knead our dough for 30 minutes. Now wrap it up in film and throw it into the fridge for 2 hours. It's already rested. Pour some oil onto the table. We open up the dough. Put it on top of the oil. Flatten it out. Pour on the water with kansui powder for elasticity. And knead it. It feels like this dough is more like a huge gum. We're gonna turn this into like a sausage type thing. Stretch it out at the sides as if hitting the table. Then we twist it into a pigtail. Fold it twice more, and repeat the same action for another 10 minutes. Thanks to this, the dough will stretch even better. Then we cut it into smaller pieces. Cover it with a film and let it rest for 10 minutes. We take one piece, sprinkle it with Chinese flour, and roll it into a tube. Then we stretch it out. Fold it 2 times, stretch even harder, fold again, stretch, and repeat this several more times. And you're left with these really thick noodles. We're gonna put this on to cook. These types of noodles cook for literally 30 seconds. Now drain it into a colander. And now we go back. In order for the noodles not to stick together, we add some sesame oil. And mix. For the filling, cut an onion into large pieces. And a leek, we cut down the center. And we dice it. Next, we have bell mushrooms. Each mushroom is cut into 4 parts. Fresh ginger. First, we peel it with a spoon. We cut it first into thin slices. And then mega thin straws. Pork belly. We're going to cut it to the exact same principle. Done. We're also going to use shrimp and squid for these noodles, but first they need to be boiled. Literally 30 seconds, then we get them out. Done. Now we take our bean paste. You're also going to need some oyster sauce. Chicken bouillon cubes, monosodium glutamate. It is used all the time in Asia. Sesame oil, and let's go out. We'll use a reactive oven like this to cook. But first we need to chop some firewood into small chips. So we open up the compartment for firewood. We ignite some dry fuel. And drop it in. You can throw in some shards of wood. This compartment can be closed, but the air vent, on the contrary, is open. The fire is lit, and you can pour some sesame oil into the wok. First, fry up the pork. Then our onions and leeks, and mix. Pour in some soy sauce. For flavor, ginger, mushrooms, and seafood. Fry all this on the Megasol fire. A little sugar. Oyster sauce. Granulated chicken bouillon. Monosodium glutamate to enhance the taste. And a little bit of our bean paste. Now mix it up again. Fill this all up with water. Also, you need to dilute a little bit of starch in the water. And pour it into the wok too, so that the sauce becomes thicker. It's time to add the noodles. And finally, we cut the green onions. Transfer them into the wok. And mix it for a final time. And with that, it's ready. Now it can be transferred into a bowl. Hello everyone, in the last video we cooked a very huge sturgeon and we were left with a very hefty head. As I promised, today we will cook fish soup from it. However, it will just be an unusual soup. At the auction, I bought a very old recipe for the royal soup of the 18th century. The recipe is called Triple Royal Fish Soup with Saffron. The recipe explains that it is triple because it was prepared from 3 different types of fish. The first broth is boiled from the head and tail of the sturgeon. Therefore, we start with the head. The first step is to remove the gills. If this is not done, the broth will be bitter. Done. We transfer the head to the sink and thoroughly wash it from the mucus so that it is perfectly clean. We are also left with the sturgeon carcass. We use this for the fish soup. We chop it into identical pieces. And we remove the film from the edges. To cook the fish sumas, it should be done in a cauldron. We send the pieces of the island of sturgeon to the cauldron as well as the head itself, and fill it all up with water. And then we chop wood. We need a lot of these wood chips. We send some dry alcohol to the stove and set it on fire. Now we throw in some firewood. The fish soup should be cooked very slowly, avoiding rapid boiling. Then the broth will be as saturated as possible. Periodically remove the foam from the surface. Three onions in the husk are sent to cook. The recipe says that this will give the broth a golden color. In the meantime, we prepare everything for the second broth. We need small fish, namely ruffs or perches. We bought these perch. Now we gut them. This one was also caught with caviar. We also cut out the gills. And rinse the fish thoroughly. And send the already clean, prepared perch to gauze. We clean everything else in the same way. We put in a lot of greens on top, namely dill and parsley. And the third fish in our soup will be walleye. For me, this is the most delicious fish of all and can be caught in our reservoirs. Its most important plus is that there are a few bones in it. We rip open the belly. And remove the insides. We cut out the gills. Done. We cut off the pike perch's head. and throw that into the cheesecloth. We continue the incision along the belly. And cut off half of the fish, cutting through the ribs. We separate the second half of the meat. We fold the skeleton several times and send that in with the head. We cut off all the fins. And ribs from the fillet. After which, we cut off the fillet from the skin. With the second fillet, we do the same thing. So now we're left with 2 fillets without bones. This will be the meat component of our soup. Now we cut the fillet into convenient pieces. Done. And all the trimmings will also go into the broth. From the spices, we add a mixture of peppers, a lot of bay leaves, and salt. We collect everything into the cheesecloth and tie it up. The soup has been cooking for 2 hours. We take out the head of the sturgeon. And all the other parts of it too. We lower in our gauze bag. This will have to cook about a couple of hours to give all the taste to the broth. In the meantime, we'll prepare our vegetables, carrots and potatoes. Both of these root vegetables are peeled. Cut the carrots lengthwise and into half circles. We cut the potatoes into slices. Our second broth is already cooked. We take out the gauze bag. All the flavors inside the bag have gone into the broth. We also take out the bulbs of onions. Ideally, it is impossible to collect all the foam from the surface of the broth, so we take clean buckets and a sieve. We put also some gauze into that and filter the broth. Done. We put the clean cauldron back on and fill it with the clean broth. We throw in the sliced potatoes and carrots. We cover with the lid so that it boils again. In the meantime, let's go back to the boiled sturgeon head. Despite the fact that it all looks kind of so-so, there's still a lot of meat there. Therefore, we separate it from the bones and put it into the bowl. It turns out that we filled more than half of the bowl with clean meat. Pay attention to the name of the fish soup that we are preparing: Triple Royal Fish Soup with Saffron. Therefore, we take a mortar, pour some salt into it, and the most expensive spice in the world is saffron. We send that into the mortar and grind it in with the salt that it reveals its flavor to the maximum and gives some color. We pour this into the soup. And mix thoroughly. The fish soup is almost ready, so we send the pieces of pike perch into it, as well as sturgeon meat. The recipe explains that this is kind of a ritual, a way to appease the soup by sharing the most holy with the fish. All for the smell of smoke. We dip a burning log into the soup. At this point, it is completely ready, and you can fill the plate. We're left with a very beautiful fish soup with a lot of meat. Now let's try it.